Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John, that's my cohort and commentary Ashton, and this is our NXT review as we continue down the road to NXT TakeOver New Orleans. Tonight's episode of NXT saw the beginning of the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. We saw the women's division get a little bit of spotlight, and we saw the main event between Alistair Black and Killian Dane. NXT on the whole was less than an hour significantly. It ended like quarter to 9 at 8:45, actually a little after, but that's when Dane Black ended. So yeah, a little bit shorter episode of NXT, much to our surprise, but still a pretty decent effort nonetheless. And yeah, actually, I'm just curious what you thought of tonight's episode of NXT.
I really enjoyed tonight's episode of NXT. I feel like the only downside is, to me, like, it started with the best part and it kind of got like the beginning was the crescendo, and I don't feel like anything that happened after the first match really surpassed that first match. So that's kind of like a you know, I had expectations, and the last match was definitely good, but I don't think that the main event tonight was as good as the first match. That's the only negative I have to say, though, because to me this was a good show beginning to end. We got a lot of kind of hype videos, and I appreciated the way that they weren't like these long droning, like the fucking Street Profits. Oh, hey, we're going to go up to each other and act like we're random fans and ask each other who's going to win the Dusty Classic and say ourselves because we're cool kind of shit. It was just like 10, 15, 20-second clips to get you hyped for their matches, and I appreciated the hell out of that.
I actually really like that format as well. I'm glad you touched on that. I pretty much agree with everything you said, so let's get right into our first segment. Heat of the night. I've got no heats of the night. Do you have any heats of the night?
No, sir.
Then let's get right into our NXT review. And we open up, first of all, with a video package for Dusty Rhodes, you know, commemorating the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic and just the life of Dusty Rhodes, who was an integral part of NXT. And then, if I'm not mistaken, partner, we do get right into our first round matchup, the Authors of Pain versus TM61. And I want to give the reins to you straight away. What did you think of this match?
Ooh-wee, this is a fun match. This match made me realize, like, you know, the Authors of Pain aren't great, but they can definitely put on a good match and they can tell a compelling story. And TM61 are just stars, man. I freaking love TM61. It's really unfortunate that TM61 lost in the first round of the Dusty Classic. That was like the most disappointing thing about this entire show, but the match itself was so good. And Shane Thorne is such a spark plug, and Nick Miller's moonsault is so beautiful, and just I have all the good things to say about this match.
I'm just going to try and keep it succinct. Obviously, as both a TM61 fan and as somebody who pegged them to go to the finals, it's so disappointing to see them out in the first round, especially since I read recently that because of Bobby Fish's knee injury that he suffered at a live event, Undisputed Era may have to vacate the titles. So the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic would be for the Tag Team Championships, which honestly I think is a nice touch. It's a shame that it has to come at Undisputed Era's expense, but I digress. This was AOP's best match in a good while. I'd also say their match in the Undisputed Era was good, but I would say this was better. I just feel like AOP and TM61 have good chemistry. I'm really worried about Shane Thorne after that powerbomb on the apron. I mean, it was a cool looking spot, but I still really don't trust AOP. Part of me still thinks they're unsafe, so my body tensed up seeing that happen to Shane Thorne. But I will say this, I loved how these guys worked with AOP in this match, because it was a combination of like high flying stuff, but then Shane Thorne doing the power game was fucking awesome. I love that. I think that was my favorite part of the match, was just seeing him suplex one of the Authors of Pain. He got kind of like a Falcon's arrow on the other one. Just so cool, dude, seeing him muscle him around. Again, I think it's very disheartening that they lost, but I will give NXT credit for this. If AOP is a post-WrestleMania call-up, which I can readily believe, I think they want to build him up as that big impossible threat one last time. So whoever does win the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, they look like a huge deal. They look like the legitimate either #1 contenders or tag team champions if we do go ahead with the strip of Undisputed Era. So I get NXT's logic here, even if I'm not the biggest fan of it. Stellar match. I loved it.
Yeah, this match was a lot of fun. Just all the praise that we can heap onto it. I want to. And yeah, like you said, Shane Thorne getting that Falcon Arrow and Razor. God, that was awesome. I like Nick Miller a lot. He kind of reminds me of Roderick Strong in the sense that I enjoy when he's in the ring, and I think he has a certain kind of charisma to him, even if it's not that like magnetic, like you're just drawn to him kind of charisma. I think he's kind of a charismatic talker. I like him in the ring, but god damn, is Shane Thorne a star or what?
Dude, absolutely. And I'm with you. I like Nick Miller. I got no problems with him personally. He did his part. That blue
I feel like Nick Miller is more of like the Cesaro type, whereas Shane Thorne is like the kind of guy that you want to build a company around.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know, I think here's what I'm really getting at, and I don't mean to be like caustic to Nick Miller because I like the dude, but you can tell like he's in a good place being in a tag team, and so is Shane Thorne for the moment. But with his look and everything, you know, at the very least there is a solid mid-carder there that could have a decent IC or US title run. Yeah. And you know that's really where I see it right now. Maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm even undervaluing Shane Thorne a bit, but that's just where I see it at present. And yeah, great outing for these two. I'm still rooting for them to get the titles. And you know what? Maybe them losing in the first round is good for their babyface fire. You know, they came back. They said they wanted to be champions. I just hope whoever becomes the champions really can sustain that struggle on TM61's end because I'm still loving the story. So we'll see how it progresses, but AOP advances.
Yeah, absolutely. Or maybe they have like a different plan, like NXT has a different plan for TM61 at TakeOver New Orleans, or maybe they're going to debut on the Post-Mania Raw. Maybe TM61 are going to be the Bar's WrestleMania opponents since they don't fucking have one yet. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. That remains to be seen. I'm not even going to try and speculate because New Orleans, a lot of it still seems pretty ambiguous to me.
Yeah.
But what came after this match?
William Regal getting asked some questions by press and paparazzi, and I don't even know what he was talking about. I think he was answering questions about the Dusty Classic, but then he walks away and Pete Dunne shows up. And about his match with Roderick, and he says about, oh, yeah, the UK title isn't leaving the UK. It's not going anywhere. And then Roddy shows up, and he's like, hey, man, I can't wait to have another match with you. And then Adam Cole shows up and makes fun of Roddy for losing big matches, and Pete Dunne claps back, says, oh, what if you won, Adam Cole? And they get face to face, and it's all intense. And then Regal shows up, and he's like, oh, is there a problem? And Cole's just like, nah, we're good. And he backs away.
So, seeing as how you're the authority on this, I mean, is Pete Dunne going to get punished for this? I mean, he kind of talked back to Adam Cole.
He really does need to. You know, I saw later on in the night they did announce a UK title match between Adam Cole and Pete Dunne, and I can't think of a better punishment for Pete Dunne than having to watch his UK championship that he values so much go to a not only a better man, but also a non-UK representative. Yeah. So that's to me, that's an easy answer, right? Adam Cole is going to beat him for the UK title with the help of the Undisputed Era. Not that he needs it, but just because they all get to get their hands on Pete Dunne for such horrible blasphemy. But yeah, I'm definitely into the idea of Adam Cole winning the UK title and just absolutely besmirching Pete Dunne because that's a William Regal word.
Yeah, I kind of felt like you were channeling your inner me there, and I kind of got a little chub going on, so I'm not going to add anything to what you said because you pretty much hit the nail on the head. But yeah, I enjoyed this segment. I think it furthered all the relevant stories along. I can't wait to see more of Pete Dunne because, I mean, you know, I'm just all about the style that he represents, you know, that brutal, I'll take any limb I can get and try and get a win off of it, you know, what we call catch as can. And yeah, I can't wait to see him versus Adam Cole. Should be a great UK championship match. Adam Cole, long may he reign. And that's all I can really say about that. So let's get to our next segment.
Absolutely. Next segment, we had a little quick Bianca Belair hype video before a commercial. It was like a bumper to a commercial. And then we got a Sanity promo. Eric Young says chaos has and always will rule. Alexander Wolf says that they will rule and that United they'll burn. And then Killian Dane says tonight, Alistair Black, chaos will win. And of course, the whole time we've got crazy Nikki Cross laughing in the background.
Yeah, crazy Nikki Cross, everybody. But yeah, a decent promo from Sanity. God, you know, I like the people involved. Yes, even Nikki Cross. You guys have heard my in-depth explanations of what I like about her and what I don't.
Honestly, the only individual in Sanity that I couldn't give fewer shits about as if they were to get singles pushes is Alexander Wolf. And it's not because I dislike him. I just don't give a shit about him.
Yeah, and see, even he kind of intrigues me a little bit, and he definitely was one of the standout performers to me, like in War Games, if for no other reason, because he got fucking like busted open and finished the fucking match like with fucking so many stitches in his head after the fact. But for me, it's kind of Killian Dane. I'm pretty apathetic about him if I'm truthful. But
And then see, I like him as like a singles monster, and I like him in kind of the gatekeeper role that he's been getting to play over the last few months. But I don't like that he's doing all of that while still being a part of Sanity. It feels excessive.
Right. But yeah,
like,
it was a decent
one or the other.
Yeah, it was a decent promo by the group. I just, every time I look at them, I think about what could have been like the vision we had for them even before they debuted. And I just feel like they really haven't had the splash that I hope they would. But it was a decent promo, straightforward. Nothing more I could say about it than that.
All right, man. Up next, we had our Bianca Belair match. She faced a woman that was really hard to find, but I'm pretty sure her name is Drew Renee. She goes by Miss Drew Renee on the indies. And of course, it still comes down to Bianca winning in basically a squash.
You know what? I did only have one mental note I wanted to say about this. I love Bianca's variation of the triple verticals with like them being stalling vertical suplexes and the third thing being a gourd buster. I thought that was really cool. I dug that. So, yeah, that's the only note I really wanted to make. The powerbomb is starting to grow on me a little bit, by the way, like I thought it would. You know, seeing it more and more, I'm like, you know what? I can see it. I can see what you're going for. She's got a great look, great presence about her that I think she's slowly developing. And see, this is why developmental works. I like that Bianca is going against no names, and it's like she's slowly, incrementally working her way up the hierarchy. So by the time that she faces somebody, say, the caliber of Nikki Cross, who is higher up in the hierarchy, one, it's treated as a big deal because, oh man, Bianca's finally here. And two, on the more non-kayfabe side, I would hope that she would be prepared for it at that point. So I really like how they're handling Bianca right now. I think that's a huge plus that I have to go out of my way and praise NXT for. And I hope that they keep handling it with the care and kind of conservative disposition that they have been, because she really has the potential to be great, I think. And I just don't want them to kind of fumble that. So, yeah, good stuff. And again, love the variation on the triple vertical. I hope that's a standard part of her repertoire. I thought that was a really nice touch.
You know what? We're getting Street Profits versus Heavy Machinery in the first round of the Dusty Classic. I hope the Street Profits lose and Montez turns on Angelo Dawkins and we get Montez teaming with Bianca as like the power couple that we've been talking about.
Yeah, buddy. Oh, that would be so good. God, I want it so bad. We'll see, man. We'll see. But yeah.
All right.
Man.
Well, after the Bianca versus Drew Renee match, we get a post-match Christy St. Cloud interview with Lacey Evans. And apparently Lacey will be facing Dakota Kai, I believe it was next week. And she basically just drags Dakota and talks about, oh, she's classless, and she makes fun of her for still being injured, I guess, is what it comes down to. Oh, you got hurt and you're still whining about it. Like, yeah, she got injured, whatever. But then Shayna shows up. Lacey excuses herself, and Shayna complains about still not hearing anything from Ember Moon, even though she laid down the challenge for weeks ago, and she's just basically gotten radio silence. So that's both of them.
First off, good transition by NXT by having Lacey talk pretty much indirectly about Shayna Baszler, and then Shayna Baszler shows up, so the focus goes on her. I thought that was nice. Personally, just a quick aside, I know I told you this in personal conversation. I'm going to make it official here on the podcast. I do hope at some point that Dakota Kai and Shayna Baszler have a formal program, preferably for the NXT Women's Championship. I feel like if Kyrie can give Shayna a receipt for choking her out, Dakota Kai should have a receipt to give Shayna Baszler for breaking her freaking arm. So I am going to be waiting on that for 2018. Let's hope that that happens. Lacey's promo was fine because it was more or less like she said that she's been watching Dakota go in and out of the trainer's room. And then she said, you best believe that when we get in the ring next week, I'm going to see how much that arm is healed. So pretty much say, I'm going to go after it. And you know what? I like that. It's good stuff. I like that they're trying something with Lacey. I'm not saying I'm a fan of hers personally, but I am a fan of NXT kind of diversifying the roster a little bit, you know, not putting all their eggs in one basket. It's good to experiment. That's why we're here. So good on that. Shayna pretty much just calling Ember a coward in so many words. Again, Shayna just speaking in these succinct promos works for me. She's got a presence about her, a very legitimate air about her that I like that NXT is capitalizing on. Nothing but good things to say there. And that's pretty much all I have to say about it.
All right, man. Well, if that's the case, then we can move on. Up next, We got a heavy machinery promo. They kind of talk about last year they were the young Cavs, and now this year they're nice aged beef. I thought that was kind of a funny line, and Otis is just a cartoon character.
Yeah, I appreciate it again, like how succinct it was. Like you said, it was like these like snapshots with other teams and acts that weren't awkward, had a good pacing on like the Street Profit stuff. And yeah, Otis and Tucker playing well off each other, and I like that they keep the whole meat things up because, you know, it's steak and weights. So good stuff, man. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. All right. Well, this was a fun, quick little promo. I think both guys looked good here. I want to give some credit to Tucker Knight. He did cut a solid promo here, good energy, that kind of stuff. Otis is still the star, but I'll give Tucker credit where it's due. And then we get to the segment. This, I can't believe I overlooked this segment when I said that the first match was the best segment on the show. I should have specified that that was the first best match on the show. But the best segment on the show happened here. And there wasn't a word spoken by an actual wrestler. This was entirely silent except for the crowd. And the crowd helped to tell this story beautifully. And Tommaso Ciampa is the best heel in the company right now, regardless of promotion, regardless of brand. And goddamn, I'm going to let you go because I'm speechless right now.
Dude, if you're speechless, so am I. I mean, this was honestly just fantastic. You know, I had fucking Delexman hit me up on Facebook like after the segment. He's like, dude, he got heat the right way. He got the wrong range. And all I could say was, yep. Because, like, this guy, just by being a great heel, and let's also say, too, by targeting a truly beloved babyface, which if I did have any nitpick tonight, that I would classify it as the pickiest of nits, I did see that some of the crowd were chanting, like, Johnny sucks. That's only a nitpick. Obviously, you're entitled to your opinion, and I probably would have been one of those, like, rubbing my hands together, like, yes, Johnny Jobless. But, you know, it would have been nice for it to be, like, a completely uniform, a rejection of Ciampa. But still, though, the crowd was overwhelmingly, more or less in the politest way possible, telling Ciampa, you know, go fuck yourself. We don't want you here. And this and that, and just knowing that Ciampa garnered that reaction, and then like you say, how like he's the Sicilian psychopath and he does psychotic so well. Like I love how at first he like chucks the microphone and he storms out like I'm not taking this, and I noticed he walked out without the crutch, which is even more interesting. But then he comes back.
You know what, dude? I don't know if you noticed. I think this has to play a part in the story, right? Because if there's one thing that we've learned about this version of Ciampa, it's that he is willing to cut off his nose to spite his face if in this scenario his face happens to be the audience. He does not give a shit. Not only does he not care about the audience, he actively despises the audience because the audience is who forgot, that wanted to move past him, that wanted to replace him. And when the crowd was booing and booing and booing and wasn't letting him talk, he was like, yeah, fine, whatever. But then when he dropped the mic and he went to storm off, what happened? The crowd cheered. He doesn't want to give them that. So, of course, he comes back in the ring.
Yeah, I love it, dude. The psychology of this segment was so on point. Like, I know that I may feel like I say this often, and I really should say it more sparingly because then when I do it, it means something. But this is yet another guy in the NXT system, like a Velveteen Dream, like anybody else. And, of course, Ciampa has the indie mileage on him. That just really fundamentally understands his character. And not only that, like, it's funny, dude, because, you know, I'd read a rumor recently. I did a big Twitter rant on it, and I do want to stress that it's a rumor because I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but that, you know, WWE is still interested in Del Rio, and Vince loves the heel character. And then I'm thinking about genuinely great heel characters. I would say Miz is one. And then I really rag my brain because how many of them are just cool heels that are like, oh, man, they're just, you know, indie darlings or whatever. And even though Ciampa could be categorized as such, he's found a way to me to be a pure heel. And that's really something because I think we live in an age where, you know, it's like, oh, if you paid your dues like that, you've automatically got a certain amount of cred, certain amount of respect. But like Ciampa's burned that bridge.
Well, and dude, I mean, even along those lines, I feel like Ciampa was never really that guy. Like, obviously, he got over with like the PWG thumb up the butt stuff. But like on the bigger stage where most people are familiar with him with, his sort of most well-known act prior to NXT was the Sicilian psychopath character in Ring of Honor. And he wasn't like that guy who put on like clinics that would make everyone love him because of his ROH work. He wasn't that guy. He was a character actor, and people in ROH tend not to like that. That's why they hated Mike Bennett so much too.
Right.
Ciampa, even though he did have a long independent wrestling career prior to coming back to WWE, because he was in WWE, he was in OVW back in the early 2000s, and they let him go, and then he had to quote unquote find himself on the indies, and they brought him back whenever it was that they recently brought him back a couple of years ago for the DIY stuff. And when he was in Ring of Honor, he wasn't like that, you know, that workhorse wrestler, like, you know, your Adam Cole, your Roderick Strong, your Kyle O'Reilly, your Tyler Black, that type of dude. He was always more of like the background character, and he really was more character work than wrestler. And that's not something that resonates with indie only and ROH only fans. So I don't necessarily think that he does have that like elite like credibility that we're talking about, even though he most definitely should. I don't think that that's like a common perception for him because of what he did and the role that he played on the stage where he got the most exposure. You know what I mean?
But see, like that, I'm really glad you went through that kind of brief history of Ciampa, because that works to his benefit to me.
Did you know that he was in OVW when it was WWE's developmental system?
No, I did not.
Yeah, dude. Back in the early 2000s, he got a gig in OVW. He was like in his like maybe even late teens, probably early 20s, and he was into wrestling, and he basically wanted to go straight to WWE, and he started asking around, and they said like, oh, you know, they do tryouts at OVW, and he did it, and they ended up signing him, and he was like on the fast track. But then one day, like they just cut him. Like, and he even appeared on an episode of Raw as like a lawyer. Like he might have even been like Muhammad Hassan's lawyer or something like that when he was doing his thing. And then and even like in OVW, he had a character, Tom Penmanship, which was kind of hilarious because that's just a goofy ass name. But yeah, then they just let him go, and they said, well, we want you to find yourself, because I guess that he didn't really have that defined character. And I think he found himself in the Sicilian Psychopath, because that's basically what he's doing now, if not even better.
Yeah, and like, again, as I was saying, that whole run through that you gave, that works to his benefit, because this is a pure fucking heel here. I mean, this is a guy that is just so hated and so loathed. Yep. And he revels in it. He owns it. He manipulates it. I mean, another great thing was when he tried leaving again, he grabs a Johnny Gargano fan sign. And not only does he tear it up, see, that would have been like heel 101, you know, whatever. I mean, it's always good. It's always a good tactic, but it's whatever. What I love is he takes the remnants of the sign into the ring, and he grabs the crutch that, if you think about it, now maybe I'm overthinking it, but I appreciated it because that crutch and Johnny Gargano have an intimate relationship, because that crutch was the beginning of costing Johnny his job. And then when he lost the NXT title match at TakeOver Philadelphia, what does he get hit with? In the back with the crutch. And then he hits the Johnny Gargano sign, which is like hitting Johnny all over again with the same crutch. Just over and over again beating him with this shit. And I love that. I absolutely love that. Just this relationship, this sadistic relationship between Ciampa wanting to punish Gargano and just punishing him any way that he can. Physical, psychological. Hell, he's not even here, and he's still punishing like his fans. Johnny through his fans. It's so good. Like, dude, I'm telling you, and now maybe this is where I get called out on hyperbole here, because this was my favorite feud, or one of my favorite feuds growing up as a kid. But, like, Ciampa is so great as that heel that I really do feel like him and Gargano could have that Triple H, Shawn Michaels type feud. Originally, I thought Kevin Owens and Sammy could do it, and maybe they still could, but I'm not really feeling that so much now. This, though, because Ciampa is, I think, more hated than Kevin Owens has ever been, NXT or main roster.
Well, yeah, because Kevin Owens, when he was in NXT, was more cheered than booed. Even, like, the moments that he would do like terrible things to Sami Zayn, he would get booed. But for the most part, even like in between doing terrible things to Sami Zayn, he was getting cheered because, holy shit, Kevin Steen is here. That kind of deal.
Exactly. But the hatred between these two, the betrayal too, because I mean, obviously Gargano would be in the Michaels role, and I feel like he's a much better babyface than Shawn Michaels, but that, you know, that's just me. I think these two could have a feud that generations of fans that are young, like we used to be when we saw our first like mega feud that hooked us in, are going to be like, what made me a wrestling fan? It was Gargano and Ciampa. That's how much I believe in this feud, because just seeing the way that Ciampa works and just knowing how naturally sympathetic Johnny is, because he's such a good-natured dude and he's good at what he does. If NXT TakeOver New Orleans does not have, or hell, if the WrestleMania card itself does not have an unsanctioned match between these two where they go all out, and honestly, I made the HBK Triple H parallel, I would do exactly as they did in their SummerSlam 2002 match. I would have Gargano win, but then I'd have Ciampa lay him out after the match and have him go out on a stretcher. Keep that hatred strong. I loved everything about this. This was not only segment of the night, this might be NXT segment of the year thus far. I mean, just the crowd control was next level, and Ciampa is in a groove right now that I've never seen him in, and I love it. I think he may even be my favorite heel right now. This is unbelievable. Just unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, man. Well, oh, and actually, you know what? Before we do move on, I just wanted to add in, somebody's the hottest act in wrestling when old timers start talking shit about them on Twitter. And we've already had two very recent examples of ex and potentially future WWE guys talking shit about Ciampa on Twitter. You want to know who they are, or do you already know?
Who are they? I didn't know anything about this.
Edge.
Wow.
Well, Edge said something about him, and then Ciampa said something about how he doesn't want to be on any podcasts and drive exposure to these guys trying to cling to the spotlight. And Edge clapped back, and Jericho clapped back as well. So.
Oh, wow. Dude, and that's another thing, too. Like, I got to say it, too. Like, because you got these old, and when I say like old timers, I think obviously like people like Cornette, right? That are like, oh, social media, you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube, and social media is just bad for the business and all this stuff. I love how Ciampa uses social media to keep that kayfabe alive. I fucking love that shit, dude. I'm not saying every performer should do it, because then it would be tired. But when you get the few that do, like, they just, oh my God, he's elite. Not to, again, bring like Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. I mean, like, elite is in yet. Nobody can fucking touch this dude right now. I love it. I love that he said, no, I'm not putting this shirt on sale, because the same people that wanted to replace me would be the first ones to buy it. I love that he's constantly telling us to fuck off. I love it. It's beautiful. It's freaking beautiful. Like, oh my God, dude, whatever brand he gets called up on, fuck 205 Live. Build a brand around this dude as the heel, because you've said you put a title on a guy to see him lose it, and everybody would want to see Ciampa lose if he was a world champion or even a mid-card champion. Like, get a fucking title on him, have him go on a run, and just be the heel that we all know he is. Give this guy the world is essentially what I'm trying to say. This is next level shit, dude. I'm loving this.
Yeah. Okay, now, I hate to even move on from this segment, but we have to, because up next we get these announcements that all these matches are happening next week. Are you ready for these?
Yeah.
Pete Dunne versus Adam Cole for the UK title.
Yes.
Sanity versus Savvy and Moss. Street
all right.
versus Heavy Machinery.
Yeah. Sounds like a pretty stacked NXT card. I'm happy that we're moving along with the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic and that UK Championship match. I mean, Adam Cole, baby, is going to own the UK by becoming the next United Kingdom champion. Third ever, actually, because Pete Dunne's had a vice grip on that title, but no force can compare to Adam Cole, baby. So, I'm guessing after this, we got our main event of Dane Black.
Yes, sir.
I honestly have not much to say about it, Ashton. I mean,
neither do I. I was going to say the same thing. I was getting ready to like hand it off to you and be like, oh, what do you have? Because I don't really have much either.
I mean, Dane got, I will say he got two cool moments. The first was kind of the spine buster where he flips over and then does the senton. I thought that was pretty cool. And then the Vader bomb did look pretty sick, and it was a nice false finish on the part of him and Black. Black's Black Mass just continues to freaking own. I love it. It's got that RKO quality, which I think is going to service Black so well when he gets called up. because I can see people in this age of the internet making compilation vids and doing like all that kind of shit. I'm telling you, Black Mass is going to own the decade. I think it's just going to be that move. That's just like, oh, out of nowhere. And I'm so glad Black has something like that. Again, I say this man is one of the most complete from top to bottom performers like in the NXT system. And I look at all this talent and I get so excited because WWE again is just saturated with all these quality performers that could do amazing things. And yet the writing's a thing. And I kind of get dragged down a bit because, man, Black and Ciampa, just two amazing acts. But Black does win the day with Black Mass. You have to imagine that this makes it just no contest. It's all clear. Alistair Black versus Andrade for TakeOver New Orleans. Give us the NXT Championship match that will blow the roof off the fucking place, that will put to shame the entirety of the WrestleMania card. I know the new Andrade and Alistair Black can do it. Hell, even Brandon, dude, told me on Twitter he's the biggest Alistair Black mark we know. And yet the way Andrade's been performing the last few months, he couldn't even lace Andrade's boots. So, like, the match is meant to happen when everybody knows how good Andrade is and we know how good Black is. So let's make it happen. Let's get the show on the road. It was a fine main event match, but we all knew who was going to win. And then NXT ends on that note. Honestly, again, that would be my only criticism, which I didn't even bother to make a nitpick because you can't hold something against a show that was never promised. But I would have really loved if Andrade came out and either had a stare down with Black or tried to assault him and got hit with Black Mass just to really make it explicit. Yeah, these two are on a collision course with each other, but we didn't get that. So whatever. And that's pretty much my analysis of the match. Do you have anything you want to add?
I do not. Let's go ahead and end this thing. Oh, actually, we have another segment left, though, so let's get into that.
Wait, we do?
Well, yeah, not an NXT segment, a TWitWoW segment.
Oh, I blanked there because we both were kind of bewildered that it ended early, and then I thought, well, wait, were we wrong?
No.
Yeah, sorry, bro. Sorry, partner. That was a brain fart on my part. High spots and low shots. Low shots, Killian Dane. He was talking all this shit, thought he'd be an obstacle for Alistair Black, but he just ended up fading to black like everybody else. Who's your low shot?
It pains me to do this, and the pain was on the other side of the ring because TM61 are my low shots, and they lost to the authors of Pain.
Yeah, man, it's tough, but I completely understand where you're coming from. Just to go right along, my high spot is Alistair Black. Still undefeated in one-on-one action. That's not counting like multi-man and all that other crap. And yeah, got a win over Killian Dane that I think, again, cleared the pathway. It should be crystal clear. Alistair Black's #1 contender. I don't want to hear any more crap. I want to devote the rest of this time to building up New Orleans because I am so fucking stoked for this rematch. I mean, again, Alistair debuted beating Andrade, and now they meet again for the championship with Andrade, the new Andrade as champion. Let's fucking do this. I'm so excited for this. And honestly, no, I was going to give an honorary high spot, but I don't want to take anything away from you potentially. So who's your high spot?
Wait. Oh, I mean, you know what my high spot always is, Adam Cole, because he was on the show. But my honorary high spot this week. Ciampa?
Yeah, he was going to be my honorary high spot as well. That's why I didn't want to take anything from you in case he was your actual high spot, even though I know Adam Cole was on the show. Because he was terrific tonight.
I never make exceptions, but I'm kind of tempted to even make Champa my high spot over Adam.
I wouldn't blame you. I mean, Adam, he showed up, yeah, and he's Adam Cole, and 99% of the time, that's enough. I feel like we might have encountered the 1% tonight. And that really says a lot about Ciampa as a heel.
That's just how damn good Ciampa was tonight. But I'm gonna stick to my guns and make Ciampa my honorary high spot because he is just that damn good. He is so good. And really, we could even be like a co-high spot where he and Cole. I feel like Adam Cole wouldn't approve of that, though. So I'm just going to stick with the honorary high spot for Ciampa then.
Damn, your loyalty to Adam Cole, man. That is some serious shit. I'm really excited when he becomes WWE champion, what the live reactions on your end are going to be. Because, like, I don't know if the Earth's going to split into two, and you're just going to be like, the time has come, the cult of Cole has triumphed, and then, like, I don't know, slave the Earth. I mean, he already owns the universe, right? So I guess that's kind of a moot point, but I don't know. I digress. Do you have any concluding remarks you have about tonight's episode of NXT?
No, but I want everyone in chat right now, all 11 people that are watching right now, to like the video.
Yes. And since you said it already, I'm just going to reiterate. Please leave a like, guys. You know, the more likes we get, the more likely we are to be the top search result for NXT reviews. So we'd really appreciate if you guys get us to that #1 spot because it's where we belong. So with that said, this has been NXT. This has been TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my coordinating commentary, Ashton. Guys, check out all of our stuff in the description box. First thing, Teespring store. We sell everything from Braun Strowman merch to Emma merch. We got Scum Squad merch. Any merch you can think of, it's all in the Teespring store. We got mugs and stickers and shirts. Oh my! So check it out. See what we're offering. Next thing to plug very quickly, the Patreon. I know for a fact we've got some new patrons coming, and I appreciate them greatly. Seems like April's going to be a very interesting month because it's TWitWoW Mania, baby! But if you'd like to get in on that for April, you can donate now. $3 a month gets you Discord access. That's the most intimate access that you get to Ashton and myself. You get to talk with us about wrestling, movies, games, general stuff, whatever's on your mind. Discord is just kind of a hub where me and Ashton hang out with the most hardcore TWitWoW fans. And if you stay a Discord member for X number of months, that's kind of a tab that you build up, and you get to cash it in for live reactions to a show of your choice. Again, I already know one patron who was very generous that has in mind for us to live react to a certain show. So Patreon, I think, is a great system both for content control, connecting with the TWitWoW community at large. And yeah, guys, if you haven't donated, please consider doing so. We greatly appreciate it. It's because of your donations that TWitWoW really gets to do a lot of the cool stuff that it does. So check out that link in the description as well. To give you a rundown for the rest of the week, guys, we have Fastlane preview and predictions. I'm going to assume that we're going with that Friday at 9 because that's what we've usually been doing the last little bit. So Friday at 9, it'll be Fastlane preview and predictions. And then Sunday, we have got Fastlane live reactions. Who will walk out of the six-pack challenge of the WWE Championship? Well, we'll find out live reactions, but you'll know our predictions to that on Friday. So Friday and Sunday are the really big days. And then looking into the future, guys, March 29th, the last Thursday of the month, is Q&A. Get your questions in if you haven't. YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Discord. Best ways to submit your questions. Everybody gets up to 4 questions per Q&A. You can divide them up however you want. Normally, people ask us both their questions, so you get 2 perspectives at the cost of 1 question. But other people want to know more about us individually. Like, again, I used as an example last video. Hey, Ashton, what's your advice for managing my fantasy team? Or, hey, John, I'm working with Kantian deontological ethics. What do you have to say about it? You know, because I'm a philosophy guy and Ashton's a football guy. So if you have specified questions, I mean, whatever you want to ask it, and you know the forums to ask it. Get those questions in before March 29th or even early on March 29th before we go live, because we go live with those at 7 p.m. EST. And I have a pinned tweet to receive your questions, so if you guys haven't visited yet, please do so. So
did you just say EST?
Yeah, so we're going to do a Bianca Belair thing.
You're all right, John.
Yeah. So yeah, I got ahead of that shit. But yeah, visit the pinned tweet if you haven't. And that's the first time he said that to me. Usually that's a me thing to him. So look at him flipping the script. But yeah, guys, we'll see you then. See you Friday at 9 for Fastlane preview and predictions. Until then, tune in and peace out.